Jill, and I'm not going to try to say your last name because I'll mess it up. But
Briska.
Dr. Jill's a Briska. That's
Briska.
fantastic. That's awesome. She's a doctor, well, doctor of chiropractic who doesn't really do much chiropractic anymore, but practices. What would your medicine be considered? Would it be considered holistic medicine? Would it be considered like
I
what
call
is
it
it?
energy medicine because it's such a broad umbrella of things that it includes. But I would say that that is where my focus is. I'll call it energy medicine.
That
No.
makes sense. So before we go any further, I always ask a stupid question to start the show, just to break the ice. Right? I know we broke the ice earlier, but this week's question is, what old person things do you do?
I think that that puts like that's me in a nutshell. Is old what
Okay.
old person things that I do. I was just saying the other day how I use like sayings or cliches like I'm an 80-year-old man. I say them all the time, and then I mean I'm 50. Well, I'm 51, but um, the moms that I hang out with are all like 15 years younger than me, and I'll say sayings that aren't just from the 80s. I mean, but they're like from my parents, or and
Like
I have
what?
to explain
Like
myself
what?
constantly.
Like what? What saying would be from your parents that you use?
Like, well, I was just saying that we should bring back things like out of sight. Like that's out of sight. I mean, or like not groovy. I'm not really crazy about groovy, but some of the 80s ones, I'm not going to say the one that I really like, but it starts with an F and it ends with an A. F A.
F and A? I'm
Nobody says
Canadian,
that
so
anymore. Nobody says
I'm
that.
Canadian. We say that all the time.
Do you? Oh,
Yeah, because we
we're
say
gonna
A
go
all
on
the time.
fighting.
So we say it all the time because it's F and A, right? And we say A anyway. Um, it's
Yeah,
okay to
but
swear on the show.
I
The
think.
only word that's banned is the C word. So
Oh,
we
all
don't
right.
say the C word on the show, but everything else is, and of course the like racial derogatory terms, we don't say those either. But no C word on the show. If you say the other one, yeah. Amy Brooke has commented on the show already, and she says that she wants to scream out loud because you're gorgeous,
Oh,
and,
thank you.
which
Thank
is
you
real
very much.
strange. And apparently she really loves you.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
See,
she does
the,
love me. It's my friend Amy.
yeah,
And I love
yeah.
her. She's a
Oh, that's
sweet
good.
pea.
Well, so the show's weird. It's real conversational, and this is why I can talk for 30 minutes. So I want to ask you, when you're talking about energy healing, how does it actually work? And because a lot of people just say, "Oh, that's a bunch of hokey stuff," just like with hypnosis. Oh, that's a bunch of hokey stuff. Uh, how does it actually work? What's and even if there is no science behind it, what's the theory behind it at least?
Well, I would have agreed that it was hokey and it was woo woo, not too long ago. But it was the thing that changed my life from the food allergies that I had. So, and I had that for 4 years. So anything that will change that, I'm on board. And then you start looking into it and you're like, well, there is science behind it. And what they're looking at or what it's coming to is something called quantum physics. So quantum physics is a real science. Nobody except for quantum physicists really understand it all that well, but I'll put it in a nutshell of how it how it kind of works is the smaller the matter, the subatomic particles work differently than larger matter. So they have their own different rules or things that they do. Like they can be at two places at once. They can communicate from long distances. And then the one that makes it real interesting is that they can change their behavior when observed. Like if they know they're being observed, their behavior will change. So if you put that into our, how would that affect our lives, or how would that affect anything? It's what we perceive. It's what we think. Um, I have a way of explaining it is what you think, you feel, and what you feel, you vibrate, and what you vibrate, you create. So if you are observing something and that's what you're thinking, and then that is a feeling, your vibration will change. And on
Mm-hmm.
cellular level, that's how we communicate. the cells of the body, before a hormone is excreted or the blood pressure goes up or down, on the cellular level, they're speaking to each other and it creates something. Mm-hmm. So that can be health wise, that can be in your relationships, that can be your career, so it starts with your thinking. So quantum physics, I think it's really, it's something that we are going to more and more as we progress, I believe is going to be something that's going to be, we're going to become more and more aware of how it affects us.
So with quantum physics, there's the theory, there's two theories, that everything is chaos, and there's also the theory that everything is order. So it's really weird because they actually mesh together, because chaos becomes order and order becomes, it's really weird. But when you are doing your therapies, you talked earlier before we came on about using a card and first doing a body scan test type thing. I'm not sure if it's actually called a body scan, but doing a scan and then using a card to align people's frequencies. How does that actually work?
So at the beginning of this year, ironically, I decided to go remote from, I have an office, but I decided to go start doing remote work where I work with people from anywhere in the United States. But they send in a sample. It can be a saliva sample or it can be a hair sample, but that carries your frequency. And then the frequency is then put on it's a Tesla, it's like a Tesla pad, so it's his philosophy, Tesla. So that is read. The frequencies from that are read. And then we check whatever the issues are. Like I like to start with the systems of the body, the 12 systems of the body, just to kind of like a car, you're giving it a tune up, you're giving it an overall check. Okay. And then it will tell me, like a big long report comes out, like 14 pages, and then I go through it. So it's objective, but I'm looking for where are there a decrease in the frequency, and it tells us the priorities. Because sometimes we're just guessing. We're guessing, like, I think I have an issue with this, or I think I have an issue with that. But sometimes it's something else that is the big problem, and then, secondary or tertiary is the problem that you think you have. So when it scans that sample, the report comes out and then I go through it, but then those balancing frequencies are then put onto a card that you can wear on your body. You wear it for 2 weeks, put it in your pocket, and then that rebalances everything gently, like tuning of the radio, how we used to tune the radio. It's finding, it's clearing your making so your station is clear so that you are balanced. Because if things aren't communicating correctly, eventually there's going to be problems down the road.
So this is what you do, is you align frequencies for the person, basically, if I'm hearing correctly. So there's a lot of different theories about how that works. There's Chinese energy medicine, which was basically doing that with the meridians on the body, even EFT and tapping. So this is actually a pretty widely used thing. And I know that's not specifically what you're doing, but what you're doing, it kind of sisters or matches some of the other therapies out there. Does that make sense?
It's that umbrella. It's the umbrella of all the energy medicines and things that are out there that can work hand in hand. Because this has very few contraindications. I'll tell you, there's only 3. And one is if you are actively on chemotherapy. One is caffeine. And the other one is, cancer, caffeine, and cannabis, THC. So CBD oil is fine. Just the cannabis or the THC in it is not kosher with that. So, but like when I do the reading on that, I can plug in modalities such as it will find which meridians or which acupuncture points are needing help, or affirmations that you need. And, those are, so that it has like 140,000 different frequencies that I'll use, or that can be found, that are, checked and balanced and compared to the database. So, but a lot of it
Okay.
does have to do with the belief system of the person too. That's so important
Yeah.
that people understand how important what they think and feel starts that cascade. So I
Hmm.
can give you a card and that will help you and it can help your frequencies. But at the end of the day, really, really important that you understand how powerful you are in the creation of what you are, your health or
Yeah.
whatever you're looking for. Yeah.
I think that's something that society has gotten away from in general. They've went towards using drugs because, oh, this will make me feel better, and they haven't actually tried to do any of the actual work to figure out what's actually wrong with them. And
Yeah.
drugs just mask problems. 90% of the time they mask a problem, right? Unless it's like a steroid, which actually helps fix somebody. When you're working with people, do you find that their mindset changes right away when things start to work, or do you find that they have to be coaxed into it to make it work?
Well, I try to talk, you talk to them first or you get them so that they are understanding. I usually don't get anybody that my brother told me to come. It's already,
Mm-hmm.
they're already on open. Should say they're open to the idea of energy medicine. So they're kind of already got at least one foot in the door, if not already on the path of accepting what energy medicine is all about and the frequencies and what is it? Not the secret, but that we create. We are the creators of our lives and things like that. They got that already. So they just need to keep that in mind and then understand that when they do see these changes, that it can be real. Like when I was really sick, and I mean I was already looking at energy medicine. That's what got me started on what I do now.
Mm-hmm.
I was still questioning, like, it can't be, this can't be.
Yeah.
But so if you don't question it and you go with it and you realize, look, the better I feel or the more I think positively
Mm-hmm.
or accept that I'm empowered and I'm not a victim here, and
Yeah.
change is possible and magic can happen, all those things, it just potentiates and it like keeps going.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things with energy medicine, actually, I'm going to give a good description of what you're actually talking about. You're talking about frequencies. If
Yes.
anybody's ever listened to music and had their mood change instantly, that's a frequency that's doing that. That's not sure, maybe some psychoactive chemicals, but you talk about that as well. You talk about the chemical connection, the emotional connection, and the physical connection. Is that correct?
Yes. Structural,
Yeah,
emotional,
that
chemical.
yeah.
Yeah.
And when you look
Yeah.
at that, I think that people need to realize that it's not all hokey pokey, because for years and years, and it's been thought that way because it's possible that this tradition comes from a certain place or that tradition comes from a certain place, and that old style of medicine is not necessarily perfectly scientific, but it's starting to be because research is being done. Where can people find you first off? That's where we'll go from there, and then yeah, there.
So, well, I think my website is up there, and that is the best place to start. Kintsugi Wellness, Kintsugi Dash Wellness. Uh, Kintsugi is my name, and it's a Japanese art form. It's based on broken pottery, like the philosophy of the broken pottery, when it is broken, can be mended, and they'll mend it with gold, and it will make it stronger and more beautiful for having been broken. So we should not be ashamed of our scars, internal, external, or anything like that. That is a way to show, your beauty, the lessons that we've learned or the things that we have endured, that help us grow as people. So that's what Kintsugi is.
Awesome. If people wanted to try out what you're talking about to actually, is there a way that they can get a test from you? Like, how does it actually work to talk to you and
Well, yeah.
start the
Well,
process?
they can always give me a call. I don't charge for a consultation, of course, but there's a whole bunch of information on the website. Also on my website, there's a what's called a Triad of Health assessment. That's a free assessment. So you can see kind of how balanced you are as far as your the Triad of Health. It's structural, chemical, and emotional, and each side is equally important. You know, sometimes the emotional side is kind of poo-pooed as not important, and then it will, if it's not addressed, it will show up in a different way. You know, it's like emotional sometimes, like with chemical, I put food and what we eat under there. So if you have an emotional thing going on, it may show up as a food allergy. Or sensitivities and things like that. Also, emotional stuff can show up structurally, you know, with like neck pain, low back pain, and there's a lot of overlap. Like, you know, like Louise Hay that has, you know, if you have this kind of pain, maybe this is what's going on emotionally. This isn't a new idea. This is just the core of energy medicine and how everything's interconnected too.
Well, the interconnectedness of the body and the mind is crazy how interconnected they are. I work with a lot of stress clients, and if a person's stressed out, their body, if it gets stressed out enough, shuts down, right? It goes insane. For those of you getting a little bit of feedback, I do apologize. Dr. Jill, you ran away. You went black for a second. Are you still there?
I am. Sorry.
Say hello. Oh. No, all good. All good. So where's a good place to actually is there a way for people to experience this without even consulting you? Is there a way to experience a little bit about how it works, or is it just you have to be consulted first and then understand how it works?
You know, I am new to the social media platform. Like I said, before January, I was just doing my, more of my traditional stuff. So, but I'm now on the path of social media, and so I'm getting there. But I would say I have a video on my website of a doctor that explains it really well, of what it actually is all about. And also you can look on YouTube. The modality that I use is called CyberScan, and CyberScan is it's just one of many different types of the energy medicine and scans and things like that. But I think what makes it different for me is I am at the core pretty lazy, and I don't like to take a lot of supplements, and I don't want to do any more work. I have twin 9-year-olds and I'm busy. I want something that's super easy. And that's what I loved about it, was that I didn't have to do much more. It's in your pocket really, and you put it under your pillow at night. So I think that's what's different. And then you get the report, like I send you a personalized report, not the 14-page thing. I distill it down for you and send it to you. Uh-oh.
I turned off my microphone because I was getting feedback. I apologize. Is it helpful with kids as well? You said you had twins, so do you use it on them as well?
Yes, I do use it on them. My son is ADHD, and when we first started with him, it was so helpful. It really was so, but with COVID, this has been really hard. I mean, this is like, they can't go to the playground and everything like that. So, we do our best. I'm not going to say that it's like, it's a spot on, like he's, 100% better. But when we were actively doing it, it was great. I think where I really think it shines is actually for people that have chronic things that have gone everywhere and done everything. We need to, or people need to kind of open their mind to some alternative things, because sometimes it's diet, sometimes it's supplements, but I was on 30 supplements and I was down to 3 to 5 foods. So sometimes if you've done all the lifestyle changes, it's not as good as as looking, or it's a piece of the puzzle, but because there's so many layers to us and we're so different, opening up to some things that might be a little bit out of the box thinking is I think it's turning a corner where it's more accepted more and more. So I think that for the people that are chronically ill, that's who I really see a lot of, that and emotional stuff, depression and anxiety. That's I think my little niche of who I really connect with.
So with what you do you find that you talk about the social or the emotional in there, is that affected more now than it used to be? People, it looks like my generation's very unhealthy, to be quite honest. I'm 35 years old, and I see a lot of people, myself included, that I'm not quite obese, but I'm not very far from the index for obesity, if that makes sense. So do you find that the social interaction isn't there to make healthy people anymore? Weird question, I know.
I think that if your mental health if you can get your mental health balanced, you will believe differently, or you will choose differently things that are healthy for you. Be it you won't get yourself into a destructive relationship. You will not be choosing food that doesn't nourish you. I think my favorite side of the triangle is most definitely the emotional, because you see it in this day and age. I mean, like what we're going through right now. I mean, that's just life on it's life on steroids. How we're having to deal with the stresses and fears, that are coming at us, that what's going to happen. But I think I really believe that it's all possible, that we can, no matter our situation and no matter what we have offered to us, as far as we know our food is not great, a lot of times.
Yeah.
But we can make better choices. And if we are mentally sound and we believe that we are going to be nourished by food, we're going to go so much farther than I'm never going to succeed at losing weight. I am, I might as well just give up now. Your body's vibrational level, there's like a hierarchy of emotions. And when you're at a low vibrational level, things just don't work as well. If you can somehow move yourself up, you can't go from guilt-ridden and shame and fear to, confidence and this in one fell swoop. But you can be happier and then a little happier. If you can get a little happier each day, or make gains, you're just really benefiting your body to function in at a whole nother level.
Yeah. I think it starts to compound after a while too. So before we end off, my microphone's picking up some weird stuff. Anyway, before we end off, I ask one question, and that's, what's one thing you've done for yourself other than this interview to make yourself happy today?
Oh. Does really good quality coffee count? I had some really good coffee today. Yeah, I love the dark roast, and so I had some dark roast coffee today. That always makes me a little happier. I had to give that up for a while. Oh, it was horrible. I missed it so much. It was it's like a death.
Well, coffee is it's the second elixir of the gods, but we won't go there. Dr. Jill, people can find you at the website that's scrolling below, or on the links that are posted with this as well. We end in one way. I'm going to ask you to wave bye-bye to everybody, and we'll say bye-bye. Thank you so much for being on. Bye, everybody. This is Dr. Jill. Thank you.